everybody. Sam Goodman. Really fucking scary stories. Thank you for joining us today for our special post-season episode. I hope that you enjoyed season 2 just as much as I did. It was an absolute blast. What can I say? That's all I can say. I had so much fun bringing you these creepy, horrific tales of serial killers and paranormal things and everything. I mean, it's just so much fun. If you are just now joining us, you just missed season 2. What are you doing? Go back, listen to season 2, listen to all the preseason stuff, roll all the way back to season 1 because it's an absolute blast too. And you can find all things creepy, all things horror, all things macabre on both of those seasons. I am pumped to be joining you today from the Pale Horse Media Co. studios. Before we get into our little post-season chat, do me a huge favor. Make sure you click that subscribe button. If you've got a few minutes and you enjoy the show, scroll on down, go click some of those stars, leave us a solid, honest review. That's all we ask for. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you like what we're doing here, let us know, show us some love. And there has just been an outpouring of support for the pod. I mean, I've just got to say that it has been so nice to chat with all of you, to hear some of your own personal stories, and just to feel the love from you. It has been great. Go follow along on all things social media. Again, Pale Horse Media Co. Studios. Head over to www.palehorsemedia.co. You can listen to this podcast and a few others, such as The Hop Nerd and Hey Y'all with Sam Goodman. So if you're done with this one and you're looking for something else to listen to, we got some stuff happening over there, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good, if I do say so myself. If you want to show the show some love, some support, and you like t-shirts and hats and stuff like that, we have a killer, pun intended, a killer merch store over at palehorsemedia.co as well. So today, what I wanted to do is a little Q&A. So I got some questions from you all, kind of as the season was chugging along, choo-choo, getting through season 2. And I wanted to take a few minutes to answer this handful of questions, and then we'll call this post-season episode in the books. How about that? Let's dive right in. So one of the very first questions that I got was this: are you even a believer? And it was kind of, I don't know if it's meant to be snarky, because I really do approach things from a pretty good skeptical point of view. And that's one reason why I just throw out to let you be the judge, because I really don't comment through the seasons as to whether I believe or not. If you go back to season 1 and you kind of tune into some of the on-location stuff that we did, and I know we didn't do any in season 2, we've got some more of that planned for season 3. Don't worry, it'll happen when it happens. I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. But you can kind of sense that there's some skepticism there, and I would argue that it's a pretty healthy dose, of skepticism around all things kind of paranormal, alien-ish kind of stuff. Now, you can't really be a skeptic around the true crime stuff, so I dove into quite a bit of true crime stuff this last season, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed that. I like the mix. I like the mix of kind of getting it's hard to say the best of both worlds, but it is kind of the best of both worlds, right? To kind of just go down the rabbit hole of anything creepy, anything strange, anything kind of skin crawly. So to answer that question without just going in circles here to try to avoid it, I would say, yeah, I am a total skeptic. There are things that go bump in the night. And honestly, most of the time, I feel that they can be easily debunked, right? They can be easily disproven. I think a lot of times, I've been in those situations where you get that like eerie, creepy feeling, and then you kind of bring stuff up on yourself. I guess you kind of see stuff that you want to see, I guess would be the right way to say that. But my personal opinion doesn't really matter at the end of all this, because I really enjoy the stories either way. I'm a Ghost Adventures nerd, and I love watching those shows, and I've been asked that question by friends and families, like, why do you even watch this if you don't believe in what's going on, if you don't believe in the junk in the show? And I guess it's because I'm on the fence. I'm a fence rider. I'll just admit it. I'm a fence rider. I don't know. I think that's probably the best way to say this, is I have a healthy dose of skepticism, because I don't know. It's not been proven to me one way or the other. And to kind of follow up with that question is another question about, have I ever experienced anything paranormal, like for myself? And the answer is yes and no. It's kind of, I'm going to ride the fence on this one too. Sorry, y'all. I'm just going to ride the fence because again, stuff can be debunked so easily. Have I been in situations where I've got those kind of like weird skin crawly, tingly things that's unexplainable? Yes. Have I been in situations where I've been absolutely creeped out? Yes. Have I been in situations where I've heard things? Yes. Have I seen anything? Nope. Right. So again, it's kind of on that fence. I don't know if the stuff that I've personally experienced, I would chalk it up to being of paranormal origins, because I don't know if you can prove it, right? I haven't proved it to myself. It hasn't been proven to me, and I haven't proved it to myself. One particular thing that comes to mind is, and I'll share a couple stories with you, some that happened directly to me, things that I've witnessed, and some things that happen around me. And when I say around me, like to my significant other, Jarrell, you know him from season 1. So I'll start with his because it's older. We were in Galveston, Texas, and we were going on a cruise. This was back when you could actually do that without dying, right? So we were going on a cruise, and we're basic. We love cruises. Cruises are like phenomenal. I'm excited for the world to be to some level of normalcy so I can go on another freaking cruise. I'm basic. I love cruises. I know. I know. Hate on me. It's cool. I love it. I just like the whole thing, like just the relaxing, the kind of just cheesiness of it all. It's just great. But so, without getting too far into my love of cruises and all things vacation, we were in Galveston because we were getting on a cruise ship. And this was like a really big trip for us. This is like the first trip that we had gotten to take, just kind of us together, kind of romantic trip, you know. Our daughter wasn't with us. And one thing that you'll learn about us as we kind of get to know each other more through the seasons is that we pretty much do everything with our daughter by choice. Like we just love spending time together as family. So we forced ourselves to go on a cruise without our daughter. So just the adults, just a big people trip, just us two, romantic getaway. We were miserable because we missed her, but we loved it because we were together. You know, the whole kind of deal. You know, my parent peeps out there, my parents out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But since we were going to do it up big, we decided to stay in this really historic hotel in Galveston. And I'm recording this kind of on the fly, so I don't remember the name, and I'm not going to stop to look it up. But if you Google historic hotels in Galveston, like luxury historic stuff, you'll find this one. And I didn't realize it at the time. We just booked it because it was beautiful, but it had tons and tons and tons of kind of lore and ghost stories associated with it. And we learned this kind of on the flight there because you're bored and you're looking at stuff. And so I'm showing him, and he's like super creeped out. He's much more of a believer than I am. I would say he's probably like 100% believer, if not, you know, maybe 99%-ish. So we go, and he's already super creeped out, like to the point of not showering with the door closed. And look, I'm a fan. I'm not opposed to that. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm good with it. But it's like, okay, don't leave me in here by myself, right? It was to that point. So kind of back to that point of maybe stuff being brought on yourself a little bit. I don't know. Who knows what he saw? Who knows what he experienced? But basically, we're laying there in the middle of the night. We go to sleep, right? I'm snoozing. I'm out like a log. I'm a TV sleeper, so the TV's running in the background. I remember because it was South Park, of all things. It was hilarious. But I get like this violent shaking on me. It's like, babe, wake up. And what had happened was we're laying there, and he couldn't sleep, like, at all, because he's just fucking terrified by staying here now. And he's just laying there, you know, kind of all bundled up like Don't Get Me Ghost, watching some South Park, and all the lights in the room just came on. Just came on, right? Just boom, lights on. But being the skeptic that I am, I tend to explain this away. For him, it was a very real experience. But in this hotel, it had been modernized, and the rooms were just luscious. They were just beautiful. They were huge. They were all the above, right? It's everything that you wanted in a resort hotel. Like I said, we went ham because this is like the first like real vacation we had taken in a while. But they had these like kind of newfangled high-tech kind of switches, like the control with the control panel. So we could never really find it, but my assumption is that the lights were on a certain timer, right? You could basically, you know, connect it to a certain time or to your, you know, to the alarm clock. So when the lights came on, you know, the lights would fade on as you wanted to get up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I kind of debunk it, but he still to this day believes it was a very, 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 very real experience. And so most of our experiences have been at hotels. So the last one, we were staying in the Copper Queen in Bisbee, Arizona. You can go back and listen to some of that chat, some of that episode. We played around with like the spirit box. We did stuff like that. We never really got anything. We never captured anything. You know, checking in, we knew that this was a haunted hotel. We were with my daughter. We were all three kind of creeped out because the people at the front desk had shared with us their own personal experiences, which was super creepy. But it wasn't anything like insane. I think what was creepy to me was that everywhere you went in that hotel, it just felt like people were staring at you. you just felt like there were a million eyes on you. Know that like really weird skin crawly sensation you get when it's just like, you just imagine standing in front of a crowd of like 1,000 people in silence and just like crickets chirping in the background, but you can feel all their eyes on you. Almost like that feeling like you get when someone walks into a room, you don't see them, but you know that they're there, and then you turn around and they're there. It's like all that stuff, but with no one actually being there. So it was had this really strange vibe to it, and it felt almost, you felt unwelcome in the hotel. The rest of the town, you still got that eyes on you feeling, because the entire town is supposedly extremely haunted, and everywhere you went, you could just kind of feel something in the air, just unexplainable as to what that was, but you could just feel something in the air. But in the hotel, it felt like you were not welcome. And so we're just hanging out, doing that stuff, trying to settle in, and we finally go to sleep, and we're all kind of tossing and turning, just can't really sleep that great that night, just from that eerie kind of feeling. But then all night, just at random times, and more importantly, I won't say it's not random, not completely random. It all started, I know, here it goes. It started around like 3 a.m., this metallic scraping sound, right? That's just like in the walls, just kind of random knocks and bumps and random, this metallic sound, this really strange metallic sound. So those are the closest things to experiences that I can say that I've had. Like I said, I've had creepy moments in my life where I'm like, what the fuck, right? I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. But I've never had anything that's extreme, and I've never had anything that I would instantly chalk up to paranormal, just like the stuff in the Copper Queen, other than like the eerie feelings. And that could just be because of the stories, right? You're kind of like, okay, whatever, old hotel, knocking pipes, scrapey stuff, it can all pretty much be explained. So that's the extent of my paranormal experiences. So what led you down the path of doing a paranormal podcast? There's like a bazillion of them. Yeah, I know. So I'm a podcaster. I mean, I've been podcasting for a few years before jumping into really fucking scary stories. We have the Hop Nerd podcast, which is around kind of my more professional life and the kind of consulting and stuff that I do professionally. I started doing Hey Y'all with Sam actually after we started this one, but I've been podcasting. I've been on a bunch of podcasts, and I'm like, I do the professional show, and it's so fulfilling. It's great to help people kind of with workplace stuff in general. Over there, our mission is to make work not suck, basically. It's to make the world a better place to work, right? We do that through human and organizational performance. Hence HOP, right? There's where the HOP thing comes in. It's not beer, it's not hip hop, it's human and organizational performance. But I wanted to do something that I was just a nerd for outside of work, because I am a HOP nerd. I love that stuff. But I wanted something that I could be a little more creatively free, that I wasn't really pigeonholed in. And that's even kind of how we got down the path of Hey Y'all with Sam, because it's just freeform, just mind vomit over there, right? That's just a whole nother thing. But I wanted something that I had a love for, and I have a love, I have a love for like true crime, whodunits, murder mystery stuff. I love paranormal shows. I love, even being a skeptic, I love all the paranormal stuff. I love kind of watching kind of some of the more conspiratory alien stuff and things like that. And I was like, well, what a great opportunity to, mix my love of podcasting with just something that would be an absolute blast for me to do. So the really short answer is because I thought it would be fun, and my thought process was correct. It is an absolute blast. That's how I found myself doing a paranormal / true crime / just creepy podcast. I'm a fan of all things horror, right? So any type of horror movies, Halloween is like my jam, like all of that stuff. So it was just brought together a lot of stuff that I really enjoy learning about, and help me bring it to you all. So super fun. Here's like a comment / beef / question. I really love the podcast. Hate that it doesn't come out every single week. Why do you even do seasons? Right? So for me, it's just for my sanity. So I don't do like a ton of research. I mostly kind of get a grasp of the story and then find stuff and bring it to you, that kind of thing, then insert kind of my bullshit into it and kind of go from there. But with the other podcasts, I have several podcasts that I record that go every single week. And I didn't want this one, again, back to the fun aspect, I didn't want this one to ever get to that point of being a burden. So it allows me kind of the opportunity to do some really great episodes, step away for a few minutes, catch my breath, learn some more stuff, do a bunch of episodes, step away, catch my breath. So it really just keeps it's back to that thing of fun that we talked about, why I started it, but it keeps it fun, right? Doing season keeps it fun for me. It lets me get a little more kind of loosey-goosey. If I want to do some preseason stuff like we did, we can. If I don't feel like doing preseason stuff, I don't have to, right? It lets me sit down and really pull together a true season, right? A good